The mechanics which involve how the Sirian overlords can keep the 4% universes gridlocked is unknown to me. I just know they do. Sometime in the ancient past, they must have found a way with technology, I presume, to control the energy in these universes. The fact that they have not been able to gridlock all 4% universes indicates that either the goddess stopped them somewhere along the line, and they are no longer able to expand their kingdom in that direction and are now instead aiming for the Ka. Or the Sirians haven't had the chance yet. Perhaps it's just a matter of time. I understand that there is a piece in my research that is missing here, because something apparently happened from when the Sirians first ran into the Orion Empire until they landed on Earth. The missing time is apparently when they figured out how to steal the energy. After all, they were already technologically advanced. Much more so than most other young races like them. Well, much more than most other races, period. It always made me wonder why the Orion Queen was so concerned about this younger star race if her empire was as solid as it's said to be, and so much more technologically advanced than that of the Sirians. One option could be that the Sirians, already when they ran into the Aryans, were about to take over this universe and others, and perhaps they are not such a young race after all, which would make more sense. Perhaps the Queen was nervous that the Sirians, with their advanced weapon industry, would fight her off and force her to return to the Ka, unable to keep her physical manifestation in this universe. Therefore, she felt she needed to show off as being more technologically advanced than she was. Maybe she hadn't had the reason to build a weapon industry as advanced as that of the Sirians, because she was no longer on offense. Her concern was to defend her empire. So now she noticed she couldn't compete with the warlords and manipulated the mind of the Sirian King of Kings, and had him see something that didn't exist. And whatever it was, it made him so scared and impressed that he decided to negotiate with the Queen. It resulted in the peace agreement, which included quite a few business marriages between the two star races, the Sirians staying away from Peshmetan, and in exchange, the Sirians would always have backup from Orion if they were ever to be attacked. Additionally, the Sirians were given parts of the Queen's empire to use for their own expansion. Also, the Sirians were made her advance guards. Once the Queen had the King's sign, she knew her position in this universe was guaranteed, at least long enough for her to tighten her stronghold here. The peace treaty, and what happened before and after, raises a lot of questions that I need to address, because I'm sure a lot of readers will think about these things as well, and I want to make sure you know I have thought about them, but don't necessarily have any real answers. So the following has to be viewed as pure ideas and speculation. I find it disturbing that the Queen promised to fight side by side with the Sirians against their enemies. This means, in reality, that whoever is attacking the Sirians will have backup from the Queen and her empire. This makes little sense to me, but this has been backed up by all my sources as being the case, because how can the Sirians be stopped if that is so, as soon as a good-hearted star race, who wants peace and freedom, is forced to fight off this evil star race? The Orion Empire will fight on the side of the oppressors, because the freedom fighters automatically become the enemies of the Sirians. All the Sirians need to do to have the Queen back them up is to refer to the peace agreement. If the Queen of the Stars is the embodiment of the Mother Goddess, why would she sign such a contract? Of course, something is wrong with that picture, and there is information missing here. She and her helpers put a code in the Namlu's DNA, which could not be decoded by anyone beside herself. This code had to do with that whatever happens, no interference or manipulation can stop us humans from evolving and become multi-D. This code also involves us being the guardians of the living library. All the extended knowledge that is embedded in our DNA has been encoded and hidden, and the code impossible for the Sirians to break, in spite of their trying very hard. It is my conviction that Enki and the Sirians kept the Namlu DNA in many humans because they wanted the code, and still they do. The code was put in the Namlu's DNA for all eventualities. If a star race sometime in the future would interfere with her experiment, the code was there too. Protect not only our ancestors and eventually us, but also the living library, over which the Namlu were the guardians. The question remains, why did the Queen let the Sirians have a sector of her empire which to her was so precious? Or was the agreement written in such a way that the Sirians misinterpreted it and believed they had ownership of our solar system? This is not plausible either, because somewhere along the line, they would have found out they were wrong, and that would have been before the War of the Titans. things could have been explained, and matters cleared up before it went so far that the Sirians fought off all Aryan influence from our planet. It makes me think that either the Sirians actually did have the rights to our planet, or the agreement could be interpreted both ways. We don't know. What we know, however, is that the codes we inherited from the Namlu has kept us safe. Because the Sirians have tried hard to break the code and they have still not given up. This has caused us a lot of pain and misery, but it has helped us survive as a species. The evidence of a code is again coming from the Pleiadians 9, who independently back up that information. They are talking a lot about how the original planners, the Aryans and the founders who helped the Mother Goddess seed Earth lost the war and the Lizzies took over about 500,000 years ago. Furthermore, they talk about the code that was put into the human DNA before the Sirians came. I need to add here that the majority of information in these papers doesn't come from the Pleiadians at all, but they have helped me enormously. Because they have time after another verified and confirmed the information I have discovered elsewhere. They have done so in their books and lectures. And I know for a fact that the Pleiadians don't know about my sources. And most of my major sources actually don't know about the Pleiadians either.